Australia was able to essentially defeat the coronavirus, but how did they do it? How were they able to hold mass concerts and sports events with nobody wearing a mask? These are questions that, if answered correctly, could benefit the United States in our ongoing battle with the pandemic. Australia wasn't in the best shape when the coronavirus was introduced. They had just fought a drought and disastrous fires that had already taken an immense toll on the country. Being that the virus emerged in Wuhan, China, it seemed far away from Australia, and it wasn't really on their radar at all until the World Health Organization reported 4 confirmed cases in the country on January 25, 2020. This small number rapidly increased to 6,600 confirmed cases in a few weeks and 70 reported deaths, as reported by the World Health Organization. Ultimately, their struggling environmental factors weren't any help when working through the early stages of the pandemic and easing the mind of the public. Another negative factor that would soon be introduced was their falling economy and how that would be dealt with. It is no secret that this pandemic took a big hit on every country's economy, including Australia's, being that the virus caused them to go into their first recession in 28 years. When evaluating the retail impact, according to Business Impacts of COVID-19, about half of Australian businesses reported reducing staff working hours and placing employees on leave. That's a lot of people without jobs or paychecks that provide them with their stability they need for their day-to-day lives. The government understood the severity of this surge of unemployment and worked consistently to solve it by advertising employment opportunities and sending supporting packages. The government even created a website named Jobs Hub that was designed to provide information on vacant positions and roles in company staff. In regard to the direct aid to families, the Commonwealth government stated that support packages would assist the economy and society by maintaining confidence, supporting investment, and keeping people in jobs. According to the World Economic Forum, COVID-19 caused the biggest hit to the American economy since the Great Depression. In comparison to Australia, the United States didn't necessarily create spaces like Jobs Hub for those who were struggling with unemployment, and maybe that is the reason they took such a large blow. So what did the Australian government actually do? Well, beginning in March, Australia really began to practice stricter rules in regards to isolation and travel to minimize the damage of the virus. Their initial plan was similar to the United States plan, to close the borders, postpone all non-essential surgeries, and urge everyone to stay home unless they were shopping for essentials. This plan was effective, but it didn't eliminate the virus completely, as we can clearly see in the United States right now. So they needed a new plan and a fresh perspective. The country's new outline for regulations was provided by the federal government-supported think tank, the Grattan Institute. They proposed the concept of an extreme lockdown titled Go for Zero that required most businesses to close and residents to stay 5 kilometers from their homes while maintaining a curfew. This is immensely important due to the fact that if the people didn't participate, they would have had to do multiple ineffective lockdowns, never reaching the goal of 0 cases. As the creators of the idea, Stephen Duckett and Will Mackey, explained, ideally, lockdowns are only done once and done well. And that's essentially what Australia did. They committed to a concept and stuck with it, something the United States has persistently struggled with. This plan didn't only require reinforcement, but it also demanded the cooperation of the public, something a lot of people did not want to give. Many people were opposed to this drastic lifestyle change that Go for Zero demanded. Some even protested, but they ultimately conformed to the regulations. After seeing Australia's extreme success and defeating the pandemic, it's easy to compare what they have done and what the United States has done to see what we are doing wrong and how we can improve. So what are the actual faults within the United States philosophy in battling this virus? And why can't people cooperate to get the end goal that everyone desires? It's not a question that can be perfectly answered, but the creators of the Go for Zero, Duckett and Mackey, explain that a proposal system that relies on self-isolation in which people are unable or refuse to self-isolate cannot succeed. Therefore, the plan instilled in Americans cannot attain 0 coronavirus cases. It takes a commitment to conquer a pandemic, and countries such as Australia that worked well with overcoming it can testify that it isn't easy. You cannot become complacent with doing half of the restrictions and regulations and then complain that the country isn't back to normal. It's hypocritical. If the United States wants to have things such as concerts and sports matches mask-free, then there has to be a sense of dedication and accountability throughout the nation.